is KC Sports Network, proudly presented by Emprise Bank.
5 things to watch here on KC Sports Network. Thank you all so much for listening, watching, and supporting KCSN. This is 5 things where you get different perspectives from a bunch of different people on KC Sports Network about this week's game. We are talking about Chiefs-Broncos, and as always, we are kicking this thing off. And as no surprise to anyone, we're talking about the wide receivers. It continues to be a big storyline for this team, for this offense, as the ascent of this team can potentially be predicated on the success of this wide receiver room. I want to talk specifically about the ascent of Rashee Rice to start things off, Matthew. It's been really fun to watch in the last few weeks, watching him continue to grow and develop. Do we think the ascent continues with a performance this week?
Yes, I think so. I think we're going to keep seeing more. I don't know about the stat line, but it's more the usage for me. The past 2 weeks, right, Rashee Rice's snap counts have been pretty much split 50-50 of being in the slot or out wide. We've seen him run some, we saw him get the red zone target and touchdown from technically a wide split. It was still condensed, but he was out wide. We saw him get another target on a little bit of like a dig type route. So like he's running real routes from the outside, but he's still getting involved when he's in the slot. He's still their second preferred receiver over the middle of the field. So it's just the expansion of his role that I'm really interested in. And I think this Broncos team gives a pretty good matchup. They're probably going to throw a lot of zone at them. I don't think the Broncos are going to be overzealous in terms of wanting to play man coverage against the Chiefs' weapons and Travis Kelce. So a lot of zone. That leads to Rashee Rice, especially with Kareem Jackson not available for this game. I think it could be another good game for him, but it's just more the usage. I just want to see him continue to run a more complete route tree, especially from the outside, because they don't have anybody else to really do that. Sky Moore hasn't taken that role. MVS, Justin Watson with healthy, they're all kind of limited. I want to keep seeing Rashee Rice kind of blossom in that spot.
Yeah, and I think he's got an opportunity to do so. The last time that the Chiefs played the Broncos played single high, a lot more than we've seen against the Kansas City Chiefs as of late. It didn't really matter for Travis Kelce. He was wide open in the middle of the field. Rashee Rice had himself a good game as well. So it wasn't like severely impacting those two guys, but that's the middle of the field. That's where they operate. And some of the adjustments that the Broncos are going to look at that game and try and make are going to try to take away the middle of the field. A guy like Mecole Hardman being on the outside, being a vertical threat, forcing more too high defenses, forcing more over-the-top coverage, then can unlock that open area in the middle of the field again. So I do expect that Rashee Rice, especially when Mecole Hardman's on the field, has the opportunity to capitalize on that space. He's got a very natural zone feel. Even if he's just running some of those sticks routes, hitches, things like that, and then turning and getting upfield, he's been a lot more patient over the last couple of weeks. He turns out of that hitch, see the ball into his hands, then move. He's an explosive enough guy to where it doesn't really matter. He can still get away from some of the coverage and some of the pursuit that's coming. He's been very good at that lately, and I think with Hardman on the field, you're going to see that space open back up, and the Broncos are still going to struggle to cover some of the intermediate areas of the field that he operates in.
Well, yeah, this is, I guess, Mecole Hardman's first game against the Broncos. Yeah, first time the Broncos will be seeing the speed threat of Mecole Hardman. I do want to get to him in a second here, but if I were, the over-under on DraftKings for Rashee Rice currently sits at 41.5 receiving yards for this game. Maddie, over-under 41.5 receiving yards for Rashee Rice.
I'm gonna go over because I think anytime he touches the ball, it's an explosive play waiting to happen. It just takes him catching one slant, one little spot over the middle of the field. We saw the Chiefs throw that quick little screen to him that picked up a little bit of a chunk play. Mm-hmm. I am waiting. Just put him out wide, let them play off and throw him a smoke route because I think he can make a guy miss. And even if he doesn't, he's good for 5 yards. So it's just like, I think there's a lot of opportunities for him to pick up a chunk play in this game. I'll take the over on the yardage.
That's a really good line for him. I think he's going to be flirting around that a little bit because I think they're going to get to a point where they're maybe going to have Surtain on him. Clearly the Chiefs' best wide receiver this season, and especially if Justin Watson's not out there to be a vertical threat as well, it remains to be seen. But I think that Rashee Rice is going to have about 45 to 50 yards, so I will take the over as well, but just barely on that one. I think he's going to maximize the yardage that he gets. I can even see him catching a touchdown. That's a very effective game for him. But I think that the Broncos are going to focus on trying to take him away a little bit if he starts going early.
I like the over as well. I'm a little tempted to just say he's going to increase his statistical production this week too. I'm a little tempted. I'm buying a lot of Rashee Rice stock right now. I think he's going to continue to ascend. So I do like the over for that one as well. We talked a little bit about McCole Hardman, and Maddie, I know you mentioned it on the lab too, but maybe one of these weeks McCole Hardman is going to get a deep shot down the field. Do you think this is the week that we see the Chiefs really blow the lid off this thing down the field and complete one to McCole Hardman?
I think they're going to give him opportunities too, right? Like they had a couple this past week that they almost hit. They had just the pressure got to Mahomes right before they could cash in. So yeah, I think they're going to keep trying it, and as long as the protection holds up, it's going to be there. I think it's this week or next week they're going to hit one, so it might as well be this week. They're going to keep trying it. I think if, like Craig said, the Broncos go back to single high, if they're not afraid to challenge these Chiefs wide receivers, I think McCole Hardman has a pretty good chance to go ahead and sneak behind them on 1 or 2 this game.
Yeah, they haven't really had that vertical threat, and so it's just going to depend. I could see the Broncos, again, like I've said, forcing themselves into more of those too high structures, being a little bit afraid of that. I could also see a Broncos defense that looks at the way that they played the Kansas City Chiefs last time and says, hey, listen, Travis Kelce got us, but we can double him up. We can take him away a little bit better than we did early in that game, and maybe we can hang with the Chiefs by playing some of these single high defenses. If they do that, it's bombs away, because there were plenty of opportunities for McCole Hardman to catch some of those deep shots in the pass game. Didn't throw them necessarily, but they're there. They're back on the menu for this Chiefs offense. So it will be very telling early in this game what the focus is. If they focus on Travis Kelce, I think that there's a chance that McCole Hardman not just catches one, but a couple of deep bombs, which is going to be awesome for this Chiefs offense going forward.
I think that's a great point to talk about. Like, do the Broncos try to play some middle field closed, even with the speed threat of McCole Hardman? Like, I think that is a very interesting question that will be answered obviously in this game. Is that one of the schematic adjustments they make? But I mean, to be fair, the Broncos did a really good job against the Chiefs Chiefs offense. They forced execution in the red zone, and the Chiefs weren't able to execute. And maybe some of the horizontal ability of McCole Hardman actually helps them kind of solve some of those problems when they get into the red zone as well, with some of the jet sweep stuff. Like, this could be a McCole Hardman game. I like that idea. Okay, one more guy I want to talk about before we get out of here with the receivers. Sky Moore. Yeah, I know that's been a point of contention for some people. I know it's one of the stories of this, early season. That's not necessarily so early yet either. Is there hope for Sky Moore here? Do we think that, do we have any hope or belief that Sky Moore is going to take a step, before the season's over? And do you think we see some positive signs here against the Denver Broncos, Matthew?
I mean, hopefully, but I don't know if we are to. I don't know what would be, like, what was the warning sign to think that it's coming, right? Like, I don't think that we've seen anything to think that step is coming at this point. I know he played a quality game last week, but it was like, for blocking and a timely catch early on in the game. And, I don't think his role kind of seemed like it got reduced a little bit. It seemed like they pulled a little bit off his plate to get other guys involved. And I think you're going to continue to see that this year. And while his efficiency, his per play, his per target, his per route stuff might go up in that role, and he might be making more quote unquote clutch plays, I don't know if we've seen enough to say that he's really ready to take some kind of new or big step yet. Hopefully he does, but I think we're still waiting for the warning signs that it's coming rather than waiting for it to happen.
I'm not sure that this is the game that it makes sense. I think the focus is going to be on stopping the intermediate, the middle of the field stuff to, Rashee Rice, Travis Kelce. Sky Moore operates in some of those ways as well. And then I think that the Chiefs are focused on trying to hit some of those deep shots, trying to throw some of those deep shots, whether it be if Justin Watson can play this week or, McCole Hardman. I think that they're going to try and prioritize those to try and kick the defenses that they are playing against later on this season into more too high structure. I think there is opportunity for Sky Moore to have the big Sky Moore game. We talk about how MVS has these valleys all the time and the peaks, I think there's an opportunity for a Sky Moore game still this season. I just don't know with the prioritization that the Chiefs offense has right now with who they're trying to get the ball to, who they're trying to get comfortable, and what they're trying to force defenses into for the rest of the year, that this is necessarily the same game that we're going to see from Sky Moore.
It's the last game before the trade deadline. And so I don't think the Chiefs are going to make a move regardless. But, if an opportunity presented itself to try to get better there, who knows? Maybe they look at something, just say, look, we're not getting what we need. This guy's running more routes than anybody on the team right now, or pretty close to it. I don't know. It's worth paying attention to. It's a big game, big opportunity for Sky Moore to to continue to try to grow, develop, and hopefully find his kind of footing within this offense. Let's hear from our guy Shawn Barber and special guest Gary Stills.
Hey, man, thanks. This is Shawn Barber from The Process. Each and every week, the process is greater than the product. And, man, listen, my one thing to watch is going to be obviously the quarterback play, man. How are these quarterbacks gonna just let their hair down and go play loose when we reach the Denver Broncos Mile High? It's not Patrick Mahomes' first rodeo up at Mile High. Everybody talks about it. My man G, he's going to go into the spiel really quickly about the nature of the offenses when it comes to the AFC West and what's currently going on.
Well, back in the day, the reason why the AFC West was so good, all the way across the board, because it was really about the defense. Like, you can go on each one of those defensive teams and pick out a dude from Derek Thomas to Carl Mecklenburg to Leslie O'Neal from the Chargers, and then you got Howie Long from the Raiders, right? Mm-hmm. But then now it's just about the offense quarterback. So when you look at Denver, who's the best quarterback? Patrick. Who's the best tight end? Kelsey. So when you're looking at what these offenses have as far as a powerhouse and you can't compare to it, you can't win.
So it's
period.
Every time the Chiefs get on the plane, and they got Patrick on the plane,
they dictate whether they're going to win or not.
They got Patrick on the plane, he in his seat. Kelsey on the plane, he in his seat.
I'm going to tell you what, even when it comes to Kelsey, to me personally, Patrick dictates that. Because look at it, how many times how many tight ends they got? 4? Mm-hmm. And all of them are good. Not taking nothing away from Travis. Travis is absolutely amazing. But this dude know how to get the ball to everybody. How are you going to get the ball to all your wide receivers and all your tight ends? That's why you win him, period. There's no discussion on why he's the best, because he has the vision for everybody. Same thing with the Patriots. When Tom Brady grasped the fact that he need to get the ball to everybody, you got all these different receivers just showing up like, who is Edelman? You know what I'm saying?
Who's Stokely?
Who are these guys that are actually turned out to be Pro Bowlers?
Yeah.
So even when you talk about the tight ends, Gronk wasn't anybody. They made Gronk after Hernandez kind of got through it, because they was that whole tandem was going to be the Gonzalez and Jason Dunn.
They try to recreate
your runner and your passer.
Mm-hmm.
But then they changed the whole process because your number one gets in a little trouble, and then look, now you make Gronk the best. Tell me that ain't absolutely brilliant. Now, is Patrick the GOAT right now?
Yes.
Think about it. Is he better than Tom Brady?
Yes.
Right. So, but Tom Brady is the GOAT, and he's doing exactly what Tom Brady did. So just think about it. All he got to do is stay a course, and he'll be the new Tom Brady.
All right.
Period. The most athletic.
G said it from his lips to your ears. We got the GOAT. The GOAT got to get on the plane. See you in Denver.
Without a doubt.
As long as the GOAT's on the plane, as long as Kelsey's on the plane, it's going to be a win for the Kansas City Chiefs.
Easy.
This quarterback play, when we talk about distributing the ball, the one thing that has been done each and every game so far this season, there's been at least 8 receivers in every ball game. There's been 2 ball games where he hit 8 receivers. The rest of the games, 5 games so far this year, he's hit double digits when you talk about receivers catching the ball. This is a streak that it's not reported enough, it's not talked about enough, but with that kind of diversification as far as who you're intending throwing the ball to, it's impossible for a defense to really guard you and stop you. The only thing that's going to stop you is yourself. Drop balls, I'm not catching the ball, that kind of thing, running the wrong routes. But the way he's distributing the ball as a quarterback, has been something we haven't seen, I think, ever in the NFL.
And their running game is great, too.
On top of that, that's icing on the cake. So, hey, going back at you, things to watch. We're going to watch this quarterback distribute the football all over the field. Kansas City Chiefs win at Denver. That's my thing to watch. And I'm back at you.
Thanks to my guy, Barbershop and Gary Stills. We're going to take a break, and we'll be back right after this.
Thanks for listening to KC Sports Network. Make sure you download our new app. Find it on the App Store or Google Play. Just search KC Sports Network.
5 things to watch here on KC Sports Network. We're through 2 things, and now it's time to go inside the trenches with the guys from outside the trenches. That's Tucker D. Franklin and Brian Henley.
What is up, the guys from outside the trenches, hanging out with you here on their 5 things to watch. Obviously, we're going to be talking about the trenches. We're down a man. No Nick Lecky today, but Big B Brian Hanley is here to talk about what feels like we just talked about the Denver Broncos. Big B, second time the Chiefs are facing the Broncos in 3 weeks. Now, they had a game in between. The Chiefs obviously played the Chargers. The Broncos played the Packers. Both teams prevail. Did you learn anything from that game, Big B, from the Packers and Broncos?
I don't think so. I mean, we saw them play, and I'm not saying that either team is horrendous. I'm not saying they're great either, but I don't know that we actually learned a whole lot. We saw they were out there. The one thing that comes to mind, I just think the teams are so familiar with each other. It wouldn't have mattered what happened or who they played in between. I just think that the Chiefs and the Broncos are just so familiar with each other that, you know, there's not going to be many surprises.
I agree. And like we mentioned pre-show before we started recording, that was the kind of for the Chiefs last game, throw everything out of the bag and make them scout this type of game. The Chiefs eked out a 19-8 win. And again, let's start on the offensive side of the ball, where the offensive line didn't play particularly well. You look at 10 pressures allowed, 9 of those pressures allowed from the tackles between Donovan Smith and Jawan Taylor. What are you kind of looking for in this game leading up to with these 2 tackles?
A little bit more stability out there. You know, the game, it was a weird game. It just was a weird game. Didn't look like the line may have been totally engaged. Didn't look like the Chiefs were totally engaged, to be honest with you. So I just think we're looking for some more stability out there. Maybe pound the football a little bit more. Just looking for some more engagement. That's what I think we're looking for. If we're looking for the tackles in the entire offensive unit, because the defense played fine, but the entire offensive line just to be more engaged.
It's a Thursday night game, too. Those games tend to be a little bit weirder, a little more fluky. You could put air quotes around those games in terms of Thursday night games. Now, the 2 tackles did play a little bit better against Los Angeles, which I think they did play better, but you look at the pressure numbers, they allowed 9 pressures combined, 6 for Donovan Smith, 3 for Jawan Taylor over on the other side. Donovan Smith having kind of a rough year in terms of the pressure department, which is something that we're not used to. I'm going to use a double negative there, Big B. The Chiefs fans are used to seeing pressures happen to Mahomes, but Mahomes is just so good at negating all of that and just kind of getting out and everything. And not being sacked. He's one of the least sacked quarterbacks in the league. And you look at their pass blocking grade from when they played the Broncos the first time, 67.8, one of their lowest grades of the season. Run blocking grade, 63.3. Want to see them kind of run the ball maybe a little bit more in this game. They've been really good, really dominant on the ground. Seems like this offensive line likes to run these gap schemes. They like to put their hand in the dirt, get their momentum going forward. And running the football seems to be pretty successful for the Chiefs so far this year. A little different than what we've seen in past from Andy Reid teams. He's still only running the ball about as much as Andy Reid likes to run the ball, but it's been more successful in terms of running the ball.
Yeah, I think it's definitely been more successful. Guys getting a little bit more hat on a hat. Donovan Smith, I mean, is he a better run blocker than pass blocker? I'm not sure. But I do know that they've been running the ball. I think Pacheco running hard has a lot to do with it as well. And then, again, the 3 inside guys for the Chiefs, I mean, it's about as good as it gets in the NFL.
Yeah. When you look at his pass blocking to run blocking grade, just talk about Donovan Smith, 60 in terms of the pass blocking grade to 38.7 in terms of the run blocking. So PFF does not think that he is quite the run blocker as he is. a pass blocker, but the Chargers game and the Denver game. The Denver game number 3 on his worst games. Number 2 is the Chargers. Obviously, number 1 for Donovan Smith was that opening night game against the Detroit Lions. But let's flip it to the other side of the ball, Big B, because the Chiefs have another player on the defensive side of the ball, on the defensive line, that the Broncos didn't get to see. And Charles Omenihu, he comes in and makes an immediate impact against the Chargers. What do you think this Broncos offensive line is going to have to deal with now with Charles Omenihu and Chris Jones in there?
Well, I mean, it's just another pass rusher out there, another guy that's creating havoc. I mean, you can't have enough pass rushers. You can't have enough productive defensive linemen, and he brings that to the Chiefs. So the Broncos are going to have to deal with it one way or another. They had a hard time the first time. It's even going to be even more difficult now that he's in. Whether he's in the starting lineup, he's absolutely in the rotation. It's just going to be a problem for the Broncos.
Looking at pressures last time against last time out, just a couple of weeks ago for the Kansas City Chiefs, Chris Jones had 6, George Karlaftis 4, Drew Tranquill had 2. We're going to see a lot more Drew Tranquill this time with everything going on, but 17 pressures when it comes to the Kansas City Chiefs against the Broncos last week against the Chargers, which I think, Big B, you and I agree that the Chargers probably have a better offensive line than the Broncos do. They still got a lot of pressures, 24 pressures for the Kansas City Chiefs in that game with Chris Jones, 7, George Karlaftis was 6, Charles Omenihu making pretty close to an immediate impact with 4 pressures. He had a pass defense as well, had a deflected pass that led to an interception. But we got our eyes on the trenches here, on outside the trenches. Come hang out with us every Wednesday night at 9 p.m. Big B, we got Nick Leckie with us as well, Brian Henley. So we are hanging out every Wednesday night, 9 p.m. That's going to do it for our one thing to watch. Let's head it back. Let's send it back for more 5 things.
Thanks, Tuck. Charles Omenihu's a player to watch for me as well. I liked him as my player to watch for the game this week. You know, he might get some help generating some pressure. It could be some of the blitzes that the Chiefs are going to employ against Russell Wilson, and BJ Kissel is here to talk about that.
The Chiefs are looking for their 17th straight victory over the Denver Broncos this Sunday afternoon. It's the longest active streak in the NFL right now and the 3rd longest streak in NFL history, with one team consecutively beating another. Now, the record's 20, so here's to hoping for 4 more. But if the Chiefs are going to beat the Broncos for a second time in just 3 weeks, facing their division rival, or I guess you can't call a rivalry at this point, just an opponent because they've been beating them down so much. But there's a good chance that if they do win, it's because the Chiefs defense is finding the same kind of success that we saw a couple of weeks ago on Thursday night, and that's in sending extra pressure and blitzing Russell Wilson. In that Thursday night game, according to Pro Football Focus, the Chiefs blitzed Russell Wilson 9 times. He completed only 2 of 8 passes for a total of 13 yards, and both of Russell Wilson's interceptions in that game came when the Chiefs sent some extra pressure. So let's take a look at those blitzes. All right, on this first one early in the game, you can see the 5 guys the Chiefs end up sending on the pressure, starting with Shamari Connor, the slot corner at the top of the screen. He comes off the edge, is picked up a little bit by the back there. Willie Gay actually comes off the backside as well, bringing some extra pressure. This is the most successful play the Broncos had in the entire game against pressure. The completion there to Cortland Sutton, their big-bodied receiver. You can see right here, the big man, Derek Nottie, actually drops into coverage to try to take away that quick throw. When you send extra pressure, sometimes those hot receivers, those hot reads, they end up getting the ball pretty quickly. So that's what Derek Nottie was doing there. And on this next one, you can see the 5 guys end up coming. Jalen Watson on the bottom of the screen lined up, head up over the the tight end, ends up coming on the blitz. And then Nick Bolton comes a little late. Nick Bolton may be coming because the tight end and back both stayed in to block. I'm not really sure on that one, as you can see him kind of delay right there, but put this one in there just for good measure. That is what we call holding, folks, and that was not called, and I highlighted it because there seems to be a conspiracy out there that Chiefs get all the calls. But here's another look at that same play, another great vantage point of Jalen Watson being held and the play not getting called for holding. But Chiefs still end up making the play on 3rd down and forcing the punt. On this next one, again, Chiefs sending 5 guys. You see Nick Bolton right here doing a great job. Not sure how much the blitz affected this play overall. As you can see, the veteran quarterback Russell Wilson just absolutely staring down his receiver the entire time. I don't know if he didn't expect Nick Bolton to get the depth on the drop that he did or just did not see him. But either way, that was nice play from Nick Bolton, not a nice play from the Broncos quarterback. Again, right there, just staring him down the entire time. Great job there from Nick Bolton. Hopefully he gets back here healthy after his, couple of months absence, it's sounding like. But next pressure right here, and this is just a phenomenal example of a speedy linebacker making a play. Drew Tranquill has arguably been the unsung hero for the Chiefs defense through the first 7 weeks, and he's highlighted right here. You can see just pure athleticism, sorting through the trash, finding a lane, whatever you want to call it, sorts through the defensive line, or gets down the line to make the play for the Chiefs defense. DBs did a great job taking the quick throws away, and then Drew Tranquill just running faster than everybody else to make a play. Again, here later in the game, you see Russell Wilson communicating with his offensive line. He knows how poor they had been at this point against the blitz. And Chiefs go cover 0 right here. They send everybody, all 5 DBs are one-on-one in man coverage with their guys, and Willie Gay coming off the edge, unblocked, does a phenomenal job, shows a lot of athleticism to jump up and bat this pass down into the waiting hands of Justin Reed. This is great complementary defensive football. It's great timing with the blitz. They disguised it well, and anytime you send extra guys, there's going to be a free rusher. The quarterbacks know this, but Russell Wilson does not get the ball around Willie Gay. He was able to make a huge play for the Chiefs defense at the time that Denver was driving. And again, here's another one. Chiefs sending 5. You've got a little bit of a play action. Drew Tranquill is coming off the edge. Chris Jones does a great job beating, if you want to call it a block, whatever they attempted to do with him right there. And then George Karlaftis gets off the tight end right there. You have 3 guys staring at Russell Wilson when he tries to make this throw. And it's actually a pretty decent pass, but Cortland Sutton, pretty sure he saw Justin Reed coming and wanted no part of catching that ball right there. Again, great look from the Chiefs defense. Again, Russell Wilson, 2 of 8 for a total of 13 yards and 2 interceptions against the blitz last time these 2 teams played. Again, here's the 5 guys. You see Turk Wharton there, defensive tackle 98. He drops to try and take away the hot read, hot throw. I don't know if he's a curl flat defender or what he's doing. If he was trying to take away that quick throw, it was actually still open there to 89 across the middle, but his teammates did a great job. And this is an example of Chris Jones just being the best player on the field to come across and to bat that pass down. But great job, again, from the Chiefs defense and Steve Spagnuolo showing pressure. And then finally, here's another example of Chiefs getting pressure. They're sending 5. There's only 4 to block. Mike Edwards gets a free lane. Russell Wilson not able to step into the throw. Trent McDuffie is in great position right there. You can see the numbers. They've only got 4 guys blocking. There's 5 coming. Mike Edwards knows this. Somebody's going to be a free rusher, and he gets a chance to get in Russell Wilson's face. Doesn't allow him to step into the throw. And even though Trent McDuffie was in great position, that's one of those plays that you often will see a flag thrown on an underthrown pass just for pass interference, and those are tough on the DBs. But great job all around by the defense. We'll see if the Broncos have a better answer for it this week. We're watching the same film that they were watching. They've got to have a better answer for it because in what ended up being a pretty tight game, the Chiefs defense was the difference in that game, and the blitzes and the strategic way in which they utilized them, only blitzing 9 times. They weren't sending the house all the time. But when they did, obviously very effective. Chiefs need to keep that level of impact when they're sending extra guys. And for the Broncos, they've got to have a better answer, or it will be 17 straight wins for the Chiefs over the Broncos.
Thanks for that film breakdown, BJ. That was really cool. Something I don't think we've done at this point on 5 Things to Watch. So kind of a cool perspective. We're going to take a break, and we'll be back right after this.
Thanks for listening to KC Sports Network. Make sure you download our new app. Find it on the App Store or Google Play. Just search KC Sports Network.
Who are the pretenders and who are the contenders? We're more than halfway through the NFL season, but DraftKings Sportsbook is still pumping out unbeatable offers every single game day. New customers can bet just $5 on anything to get $200 instantly in bonus bets. DraftKings isn't stopping there either, as all customers can take advantage of a sweetener offer every game day. Chiefs are 7-point favorites going on the road to face the Denver Broncos this Sunday. And you can get in on the football action with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Download the app now and use code KCSN. New customers can bet just $5 on anything to get $200 instantly in bonus bets only on DraftKings Sportsbook with code KCSN. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.1800gambler.net. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly on behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas. Licensee partner Golden Nugget, Lake Charles, Louisiana. 21 plus age varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. See sportsbook.draftkings.com/football terms for eligibility and deposit restrictions, terms, and responsible gaming resources.
Speaking of gaming, there's some weird games sitting around here, and it is only Weird Games' turn to talk about a big position of interest this week with Nick Bolton's injury. Here's JB Briscoe to talk about the linebackers.
Joshua Briscoe and Seth Kaiser with you here from Only Weird Games as we look ahead to Chiefs and Broncos. Seth, we kind of dismissed the idea on Weird Games this week that this could be a trap game for the Chiefs because it's a divisional game. It's a long winning streak for the Chiefs over the Broncos. So we're not super worried about that collectively. But Steve Spagnuolo said some really interesting things during his press conference on Thursday, going back to the Chiefs linebackers. We've talked about them quite a bit on this show and maybe even in some of our Five Things appearances. But what I heard from Spags on Thursday was when he said there's not a drop-off from Nick Bolton to Drew Tranquill. The other 10 guys on the field are comfortable with him there. They didn't have to pull anything back when Tranquill was the Mike and Bolton's previous absence this year, and they seem fully ready to go. So listen, we'd all like the depth back. It's a thinner group now at linebacker, no question, but it's not worse at the top, at least according to you, me, and Steve Spagnuolo.
And that's where that Tranquill signing has just proven to be just an unbelievable signing by Brett Veach. Not just what he can add in terms of things they struggled with last year in coverage in the middle of the field. A great example, last drive of the Chargers, perfect coverage up the seam, knocks the ball out. That's just not a lot of linebackers can make that play. And so there's that. But there's also the fact that they have a genuine, legit Mike on the team if something happens to Nick Bolton. Because last year, we talked about this a little bit on AUG. I like AUG.
Anyway. I don't think I like AUG, but we haven't. I've been going Weird Games for sure. We're down at
that's fair.
But AUG is fine. Go ahead, AUG. They say.
Oh, see, that's even better.
That's better.
Last year they would have been in a lot of trouble had Bolton gone down because that's not really Willie Gay Jr.'s skill set. Darius Harris, there's a big drop off in play there. The thing with Tranquill, he doesn't have Bolton's size. He's not quite as good a tackler because Bolton's an incredible tackler. But Tranquill's a good tackler. And he plays the position very physically. So you don't lose as much as you might while you gain some in coverage. And he's shown the ability. He's a multi-year veteran. He's been in the league longer than Nick has. He's shown the ability to get guys lined up appropriately, call out the audibles that they need during, in the alignments. He does a really good job with that. And you could tell that he earned the respect of everyone quickly. There's a lot. I mean, they don't lose anything there. And I think that's probably what Spags meant the most, is that in terms of communication, in terms of getting everyone where they ought to be, they don't lose anything there. And that's what's so important in terms of making sure a defense that relies a lot of communication on the back end, it doesn't lose anything there. So I'm really glad that Tranquill's here. I'm also glad, though, that Leo Chenal has taken a step forward, because with some of the things that maybe Tranquill doesn't do as well as Nick Bolton in terms of attacking the line of scrimmage, size and power at the line of scrimmage, you can have Leo Chenal do some of those things, and he's really good at those things. So it really is, they've just done a really good job building this roster. I mean, it's just, Drew Tranquill was just a home run signing, and I think he knows he's playing for probably a longer-term contract after this season, and that the rate things are going, I would guess it's with the Chiefs, the way things are currently going.
And it was just interesting for me, again, on Thursday, to hear Spags talk about another linebacker and the way he's talked about Nick Bolton. Like, we've kind of, we've joked about it sometimes. We've also, going back to some of the less talented linebacker groups of recent Chiefs past, of, man, why is this guy on the field over this guy? Or what does he love so much about this linebacker that keeps getting all this work? Well, and even on Thursday, he talked about some players. I don't think this was specifically about linebackers. This was actually a question about Mike Edwards, now that memory serves. He was talking about how Mike Edwards sees the whole field. Another great free agent signing from the same offseason. He said some guys see the field through a straw. And it's just this, I'm looking at the thing that I'm looking at, I'm focused on that thing, and that's my thing. Yep. With Nick Bolton, I think you can tell that Spags loves the way he sees the field and loves the way that he communicates. The funny thing about that is those are maybe the hardest things to quantify from a stat sheet, so it just turns into like, Nick Bolton led the team in tackles, yeah. And that ends up being a little bit of an insufficient, little wrap-up of what makes him special. Hearing Spags talk about Drew Tranquill in the realm of his field vision, and his communication. And those things in particular, they were not a problem when Bolton missed time the first time through, and he does not think they're going to be a problem again now. We're on the same page that, again, now if Tranquil gets hurt, or if Willie Gay gets hurt, even if it's for a game or for a quarter, now you're getting tested. You're going to have to get more creative there. The depth went from being immaculate to being now just a group of linebackers you don't want to necessarily see the fourth one on the field too much. No offense to Jack Cochran. Spag said he'd be good to go if he needs to get some work. Yeah, also actually said that he had essentially a package for him without Bolton the first time as well, and Cochran got a small handful of snaps doing that. But all that to say, I just was very encouraged by the specific ways that Spags chose to praise Tranquil.
Yeah, and it brings another player on the team who sees the field not through a straw, but through, his eyes, I guess.
Yeah, I'm
not helping
into that one.
The binoculars, no, because that would be too zoomed.
Binoculars flipped around have that like wide angle effect.
Ooh, sure. It sees it through the all 22. And so it really is, it's encouraging, but you do make a good point. It stretches the depth a little bit. And that's one of the cool things about this Chiefs team, though. They are a little deeper. They can handle injuries in certain spots. And that's in part because of some of these kind of flew under the radar, low-key signings this offseason. People were pretty excited about Amena, who I was, but I mean, it still wasn't like a buzzy signing outside of kind of some film nerds.
And the depth had to take over for the first 6 games, ultimately.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, like, just with Edwards, Tranquil, and so far Menahu, you just really seen the work that's gone into it in terms of making this defense not just wider, but deeper.
That's the kind of analysis you can only get here from Only Weird Games. Mercifully, that's it for our segment, so we'll kick back to you.
Thanks to the guys at Only Weird Games. We'll talk about the linebackers. Hey, look, make sure you are checking out the 8:10 pregame show, getting you ready for Chiefs-Broncos. That's a 3:25 kick, so listen to them on the pregame. We'll have you covered on the KCSN postgame show on the KCSN YouTube channel. Make sure you get ready for that. Hopefully talking about a Chiefs win. Let's be honest. I think we're going to be talking about a Chiefs win. That's going to do it for 5 Things. Thank you all so much for listening, for watching. We appreciate you, and we'll catch you later.